In today's news, the Prime Minister defends the country's decision to delay nightlife to January. Another arrest connected to the dirty exported glove scandal, and Bangkok wants to vaccinate its entire population by the end of this year. Details on these headlines and many more coming right up. You're watching Thailand News Today, bringing you the latest headlines in Thailand and beyond. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay on top of the news. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has defended the CCSA's decision to delay the reopening of Thailand's nightlife to January 15th. Bars and clubs around the country have been widely anticipating a reopening on December the 1st. However, any hopes of making some revenue over the normally busy end-of-year period have now been dashed. Bars and nightlife venues have derided the decision, which now threatens the future of many operators whose livelihoods were already hanging by a thread. The Prime Minister's reasoning is that businesses would not have enough time to prepare for a safe reopening by December the 1st. He says public health measures will not be ready by then, and the guidance is that high-risk venues should remain closed. The PM went on to say that bars and nightlife venues should not be tempted to break the rules, as they will face prosecution if they do so. His warning comes as many bars and entertainment venues around the country are operating in open defiance of the closure order. Thai police have arrested a Japanese businessman following the CNN investigation into the multi-million-dollar transnational medical glove scam involving a Thai-based company. According to the report, millions of used medical gloves, some stained with blood, were exported from Thailand to American companies. Thai media reports that 42-year-old Shuichi Ozawa was arrested last week at a Bangkok hotel on charges of manufacturing medical equipment without permission. The Japanese businessman, who is said to be a former member of the Yakuza organized crime syndicate, is accused of selling 200 million baht worth of substandard gloves to buyers in Switzerland and the U.S. 3 Thai women have been rescued from Cambodia, where they were allegedly being held for ransom by their Chinese boss. Police in the eastern border province of Sa Kaeo are interviewing the 3 women as of now. The women say they were lured to work in an online gambling company in the western Cambodian city of Poi Phet, which lies on the border with Thailand. Poi Phet is renowned for its casinos and gambling scene. Once there, the women were detained by their employer, who demanded ransom money of 10,000 baht for each of them. The women were then rescued by Cambodian police during a raid on the premises, where they were being held and subsequently handed over to Thai immigration officials. Following their rescue, another 60 Thai workers in Cambodia have been freed after being duped by fake job ads and being held in slave-like conditions, with their families ordered to pay ransom money. As Thai politicians mull over the proposals to change the country's constitution, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha announced that with any amendments lawmakers are seeking to make, the institution of the royal family must be left untouched. Prayut was quoted saying, "The country, the religion, and the monarchy institutions must remain. MPs must not act in a way that affects the royal institution." Lawmakers will be discussing whether or not to accept a series of amendments put forth by the pro-democracy movement. Referred to as a people's constitution, these amendments mostly have to do with revising government powers and by extension touch on issues like freedom of speech and the position of the Thai monarchy. A member of the coalition Chat Thai Pathana Party indicated that a number of MPs in the party will vote to reject the amendments. The quote, "People's Constitution" currently has support from over 135,000 voters. Amendments include abolishing the Senate, which comprises unelected officials that were chosen by the military junta, and giving more power to opposition members of parliament to act as a check on the ruling government. To pass, this bill will need support from a third of the Senate, which is 84 senators, and 20% of the opposition members of parliament, or 43 MPs. Bangkok's governor says the capital's entire population will be fully vaccinated by the end of the year. Currently, 85% of high-risk groups, including the elderly, pregnant women, and people with underlying conditions, have received the first dose of a COVID vaccine, and 70% are fully vaccinated. The BMA is also working with the Labor Ministry to provide free vaccination for all migrant workers in the capital. Officials have been urging people who are not yet vaccinated to come forward, with vaccine rollouts now covering most areas of the capital. The largest vaccination centers are currently at BMA-run hospitals, field health service centers, mobile services, and the Thai-Japanese Bangkok Youth Center. A new warning calls on anyone who attended a Pattaya restaurant to get tested for COVID after an outbreak was identified. The bulletin was released yesterday by the Chonburi Public Health Office, urging anyone who has been in or eaten food from Phuyai Not Wild Food Restaurant to test themselves with an antigen test kit. The restaurant, located on Sukhumvit Pattaya 54 Road in Banglamun, has been identified as a source of COVID, putting patrons who attended the eatery between the dates of November the 5th and November the 12th at risk of infection. The outbreak warning comes on the heels of a recent similar announcement that anyone who attended a gentlemen's club in Jomtien needs to get tested. The Public Health Office instructed anyone who ate at the restaurant or came in close contact with the staff to use an ATK to test themselves for COVID. They also advised that anyone who had purchased food from the restaurant may also be at risk of infection and are instructed to closely monitor themselves for any symptoms. And that wraps up our report for today. And if you enjoyed it, you'll definitely love the videos that just popped up here. So do check them out to continue watching our other shows. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.
Tim was sad. He had time on his hands but didn't know where to find the news. But then he remembered. The Thaiger app. All your Thai news and Thaiger videos in one place. Just a single click takes you to a one-stop connection to all the news and information in Thailand. Now Tim is happy. Available free on Apple and Android, hologram not included.